אשת חיים וימצא ורחם מפנים יכרח בת הבא לבעלה ושאל לא יחסר גמלת הוא טוב ולא רע כל ימי חייה דשה צמר ופישני ותעש בחפץ כפיה הייתה כוניות צרכם ממרחק תביא לחמה ותקום ועוד לילה ותיתן טרף לביתה וחוק לנערותיה זמם על שדה ותיקחהו מפי כפיה נטע כרם חגרה בעוז בוטניה ותאמץ זרעותיה טעמה כי טוב שכלה לא יכבה בלילה נראה ידיה שלך בקישור וכפיה תם כופה לך כפה פרסה לעני וידיה שלך לאביון לא תירא לביתה משאלה כי כל ביתה לה בו שנים ערבדים עשתה לה 6 וארגמן לבושה נוטה בשערים בעלה בשבטו עם זקני הארץ סדין עשתה ותמכור וחגור נתנה לכנעני אז ויהדה לבושה ותשחק ליום אחרון פיה פתחה בחוכמה ותורת חסד הראשונה צופיה לכל ביתה ולחם עצלות לא תאכל כמו בניה וישורה בעלה והיללה רבות בנות עשו חיל והטלית על כולנה שקר החן והבל היופי אישה יראת אדוני היא תתהלל תנו לה מפרי ידיה ויעלה בשערים מעשיה. Dear family members, Elazar, Hashem Yichayehu Vishmerehu, Elazar Rashidi, the husband of the Niftaris, Chayesara, Shabnan, Levi, Winkler, Yosef Rashidi Fazel, and Pinchas Rashidi Fazel, the youngest. My friends, we are here to mourn the passing, the Petira of a very, very important, very special Eshes Chayil that I have had the pleasure to meet. She was a member of my shul for many years, together with her family. As a matter of fact, that's where Pinchas was born. I have noticed, and I heard that many, many times, the kindness of Shulamit Aliyah Shalom had in her heart and in her face. The pasuk I just read, Sheker Achen Vehevel Ayofi, is describing exactly Shulamit Aliyah Shalom. Her beauty was in her heart, in her mind, and she had a constant smile, no matter what. She was the kind of person who understood her responsibilities, and she was the kindest wife to Elazar. Elazar was the same, always smiling, always saying yes, always ready to help, and that's her. Many times through the functions of the shul, she was the first one to volunteer to do things. Whether it's a kiddush, whether it's shalashudas, she was always there and always working. And I saw that with her family, the incredible mesira that she had towards her children was exemplary. This is something that we could learn from, all of us. The way she loved her children and to take care of them. They could do no wrong. And it's understandable. And mommy is always like that. She loves her children. She wants to protect them. But she did that la'amita shetara, for the sake of being an Eshes Chayil. She's always davening, always saying Tehillim, no matter where she went. When it was time to be with her husband, unfortunately, he suffered a lot. And we davened for him, for Refuah Shalema, Hashem Yichayehu Vishmeru. She was there 24/7. She quit her work, not because she didn't care, she cared, but because she wanted to help her husband. She wanted to daven for her husband. together with her husband, was Elazar's mother, Mrs. Lavian. Mrs. Lavian is a tzadekis. She did a terrific job in helping raise her son and her grandchildren. This is incredibly important when we see the responsibility of Neshes Chayil. Bat alba lebala v'shala lo yichsar. Her husband trusted her within a security manner, and he knew whatever she did was okay. He didn't have to check up on her. And always, and I say it again, it is something beautiful to see as a person, as a human being, as a caring person, to see him smile and to see Shulamit smile as well. Shulamit was the Eshes Chayil that we just described now. She was a perfect mother, and she cared Belev Shalom. As you know, many of you understand, many of you are in Rabbanos, in guidance, in administration, in teaching. You know the person reflects his heart and his face and his eyes. And she showed it. That was her Lev Tov. And the Lev Tov is, fundamentally speaking, the most important part in a person's characteristic trait, because that carries the person. And that is the Eshes Chayil. Chachamim ask, why is it that we say Eshes Chayil? Why don't you say Ish Chayil? Give the same praise for a man, for a husband. After all, a husband is a husband. He does a lot. But not as important as the Eshes Chayil. The Eshes Chayil is the Akeres Habayis. She's the one who upholds the household and the children and the future generations. If she has a good home, and she had a good home, Shmiya Shabbos, Taras HaMishpacha, Kashrus, she cared for every single thing. And that is the Yofi of that person, of that Eshet Chayil. I remember very distinctly when, again, I want to refer back to Pinchas. I didn't forget you, Yosef. I remember your bar mitzvah as you were growing up. But Pinchas was the apple of her eyes. He was a very, very special person. She literally came to shul. She went to Ezras Nashim with a stroller and made sure he was there. He was a baby. Didn't understand anything, didn't even know where he was. But she told me that she wanted the Kedusha of the Tefillah to be with him. That's the Eshes Chayil. From conception, she wanted Tahara. She wanted the Kedusha of the Torah, of Shmir Shabbos, to be with her children. And this is what she taught her children. Baruch Hashem, they grew up to be B'nai Torah, Shomer Torah mitzvahs, and you should continue, B'ez Hashem. Chayesara, Yosef and Pinchas. It's sad. It's a big loss. It's going to be a big gap in your life. Unfortunately. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Nasan. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Lakach. Yehi Shem Hashem Mevorach Me'ata V'ad Olam. Hashem decided when the child is born and when that person goes back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Gemara explains when it's time for the neshama to come down, the neshama says to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Lo ifshi, laredes, I don't want to go down. Look what goes down. Look what's in the world, the tsars and the wars, the hatred, the jealousy. I'm here with you in Gan Eden. Why should I go down there? HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Gzer hi milefanai. That's the way it has to be. The neshama has no choice. It has to go down. Finally, it comes down the right time. It attaches itself to the future baby. The baby is born. The baby starts to crawl, and then to walk, and then to run. Then he's bar mitzvah. There's a bris that brings him into the kedusha of the bar mitzvah. Then he gets married, he has children, then he starts to get old, and older, and older, and older. And as he gets older, the gravity pushes him down, closer to the kever, ad me'arveh simshana. At that point, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to the neshama, be ready for this and this date, this moment for you to come back up. Nochamo, the neshama has a du-siach. I don't want to go. I've been with this person for 120 years. Why would I want to go? Look, he's good. He's a tzaddik. He accomplished so much. There's chesed, gimilus chasodim, tzedakah, raised beautiful children, b'nei Torah. Why do you want me to go? So Hashem says, because his life is over. He accomplished the mission. And gzer hi milefanai, you cannot stay another second. That's the gzer of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which we have to accept, which we don't understand, but we have to accept it. Ko amar Hashem. At that point, the neshama goes back up. And Hashem says, I take what belongs to me, which is the neshama. What belongs to you, father and mother, is the biological person. That's it. And we are all together to be mekayim the mitzvah, kavod hames, to make sure that Shulamit has the proper gvura, kedas v'kedin, and to pay our less respect. The kavod achron is very, very important. The kavod hames is very important, because we want Shulamit, although we know she is on her way to Gan Eden. She didn't leave yet. Her neshama is still with her family for the next 7 days. But she passed her test. And we have the koyach to daven for her. We have that authority that Hashem gave us. Lo ha-mesimi haleluka. Only the Chaim. We have the authority and the power that Hashem gave us to daven for those who passed away. And we know she's an Eshes Chayil. We know she's a tzaddikus. I know that your mommy is no longer here with you to give her a hug, to talk to her, to solve a problem. But the bracha is, you will never forget her. And the question would come to you and say, what would mommy do? Here's the problem. What would she say? What would she do? That is the bracha. Because you will take her chinuch, that she was mechanech you, and use it as the equation to solve a problem. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu guide all of you. B'ez Hashem b'derech HaTorah. And her neshama would be a melitz yosher for the mishpacha, and she should daven for her dear husband, Elazar, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should send him refuah shalema. Amen. Tiye nafsho tzrura b'tzor achayim. Amen. Rabbi Jacobs.
We'll start with a Kapitel Tillim, anyone who wants to say along. Kapitel Tezayin. Michtam David, Shomreini El Kichosi Sivoch, Umart La Adonai Ota Tivosi Baal Alecha, Yidei Shemasher Ba'oretz Heima, V'adirei Kol Chef Tzivam, Yirbu Atzvoi Sam Acher Maharu, Balasichnes Keihem Midam, Uvalesas Shmoi Samal Sefosai, Adonai Menas Chelki V'choisi, Atot Heimich Gerali, Chavalim Nafluli Bani Mim, Afnachalas Shafra Aloi, Avorichis Adonai Asher Yatzoni Afleilois, Yisruni Chilyoi Soi, Shivis Adonai Lenegdi Samid, Kimimini Bal Emoid, Lochein Samach Libi Vayogvoidi, Abesori Yishkein Lavetach, Kilei Sazev Nafshi Lishoel, Leisitain Chasid Choli Reis Shachas, Tidieni Eirach Chayim, Soivas Mochis Esponecha, Nimois Bimin Chonetzach. We start today learning Parshas Bahaloischa, Bahaloisches Aneres, and explains in Sforim that the Yidden are compared to Neres, Ner Hashem Nishmas Odom. Person's soul is a Ner. There's an interesting halacha that we can maybe take a lesson from. Hadlokas HaNeres says is Kshere Bizarre. The menorah in the Beis HaMikdash, the Neres of the menorah in the Beis HaMikdash, is allowed to be lit by even one who is not a Kohen, a Levi or Yisrael. The chiyuv of a Kohen is just a preparation. A Tavas HaNeres has to be done by a Kohen. It means to clean out the ashes, to prepare the wick, the oil, to fill it and to prepare it. It has to be done by a Kohen. But the Hadlok itself can be done by any Yid. Haloisches HaNeres is a lesson that we can pick up another neshama, we can light up another Yid's neshama. And our mission in the world is to see who we can touch, whoever we're in contact with, if we can help another Yid, pick up another Yid, encourage, and be a good example for him. But that which we do, the Hadlokas HaNeres, the lighting the other Yid's soul, has to be done only after the Kohen was made of the Neres, prepared the Neres. Is the pshat that we can't decide on our own what's the derech. Some people may have a tendency to think, well, if we're more lenient here or more lenient, we allow it this way, allow it that way. Ultimately, I think it makes sense that it will have a good effect. Bottom line. So that's not our cheshbon. We have to follow the Mesiris, the Kohen, the Meshoris, the one who serves, who leads us in serving Hashem, sets up the derech, and we have to follow the Mesiris. Shalamis Bas Moshe, my sister-in-law, worked for us in nursery for 20 years. From when we were opened in the house, I believe she was the first person that worked together with my wife. And all the years she was with us, and she, Baruch Hashem, gave over to the children, the Mesiris. The children are young, they're not learning Gemara and Taisus yet. But the foundation of Yiddishkeit, they're learning in nursery. And the Morris are teaching them brachas and davening, the basic davening, Aleph Beis. Another year or two, they're learning Parsha, lessons from the Parsha. And Shalamis had a very strong Mesiris. She had a very strong foundation from home, from Iran. Her uncles, who now live in Israel, were chazonim and shuls, learned people, and she left over Chaim L'Chaim, 3 sisters that still live in Iran. 25 years ago, just after she was married, a few years, she with her family decided to move to America, 1999. And it was a very difficult move. And for grown people to move to a foreign land is very difficult. But like many then, she was concerned where she can bring up a family of from Yidden. She had 2 young children then. It was before the third was born. And they moved here with Mesiras Nefesh. And Baruch Hashem, we look at her children and grandchildren, and we see that her Mesiras Nefesh paid off. Baruch Hashem, 2 children married, raising families, children. And Baruch Hashem, the third, Pinchas, engaged, Mitzvah Hashem, will soon start a family. We need to take a lesson from Shalamis Bas Moshe. It's difficult to stand on such an occasion and talk. But the tachlis is v'hachayit in aliboy. We need to take a message. We need to take a lesson for ourselves. So as difficult as it is to talk with such a woman, it's easy to find what to learn. She was a woman with exceptional chesed, and everyone around her recognized it. I never saw in her a negative word, a frown. Everything was with love and with positivity. And she acted with the greatest kavod to everyone. She says, okay, can I help you? We would come to her house. Please come, take something to eat. With the strong hospitality. And as I heard from her children, the way she and her husband acted between each other was, I think we could say, phenomenal. Usually, normal people, they have their times, they have their differences. As my nephew said, the 2 of them were like Shana Rishayna, their whole lives, their whole married lives, with such derech eretz and kavod for each other. And this taka rubbed off on the children. And Baruch Hashem, you see, such fine Bali Midas and Yerei Shemayim children. She also took on something that it's not an easy task always. And when they first moved to America, so my father-in-law was still alive for a short time. They had their own apartment, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, and Shalamis and Elazar with their family. But soon they saw that my father-in-law had passed away, and it was going to be difficult for my mother-in-law to be on her own. And Elazar and Shalamis took in our mother-in-law. And something not everyone would want to do. But Shalamis did it with a smile, with a simcha. I once asked one of the boys, would you do such a thing? Would you think you'll ever live with your mother-in-law? He said, I don't think so. I said, your mother does it. He answered on the spot, my mother's a tzaddikus. Shalamis Bas Moshe. I want to ask Mechila for myself, for my family, for our extended family, for the community and at large. If we ever did something that was not proper, please, we ask to Moichel. We try to do everything to help you. We should be zoiche to the time of Tchias HaMesim, L'Kitzu V'ran U'Sheichni Yofor, Bila Moves L'Netzach, Moch Hashem L'Kim Dima Me'al Kol Ponim.
Mommy, Chaisara and I, Chaim Baruch and Moshe Raphael, are going to miss the replaceable home you have provided for us right down the street that we have been visiting on a weekly basis, week after week, nonstop, for the past 5 years. I really hope that Chaim Baruch and Moshe Raphael are old enough so that they can hold on to some of the amazing memories we've had with you. And it really pains me so much thinking about how little they got to know you, and how Shmuel Arya, Aram Nachum, didn't really get to know you at all, and any of our future children, B'ezrat Hashem. Still so hard to process what we're going to do with this big void that you left us. Mommy, me and Chaisar want to ask for mechila for not giving you the proper kibud avim deserved by any parent, let alone to match the amount of unwavering love I've come to know that you have given us and our family over the past 7 years, without you ever asking for a single favor in return. We want to ask for mechila for all the moments we were absent these past few weeks, juggling to take care of our own family, and especially this past Shabbos, despite having the feeling that something wasn't right. I wish I could have thanked you in person for everything you have always given us, despite the fact that you've always had so little for yourself. You've always put everyone before your own needs, including my family, Tati, Mom, and June, on a level that I know that so few people truly will ever know. Chazal teach that derech hatzadikim hen oluvim ve'enan ovin, and I know they're speaking about you, Mommy. Please be a Meitzit Yarsha for us.
Okay, so originally I was not going to give a haspid, and because of all the emotions and the crying involved, but by me and by the the audience, which I know will have the people gathered here, which I know my mother would ask tremendous mechila for everyone coming out. But I did see it's a big mitzvah, and the whole point is that people gathered will cry. And Hashem counts these tears, and He collects them and puts them in His treasure house. And besides for that, the Darkei Moshe says that the mace knows and can hear everything we're saying right now till she's buried. So now is her chance. Rabbi Ben Susan said, Ish Chayil Mi'imtza, people like her, very few and hard to come by. We heard all these things, sounds like, wow, amazing, she must have been, amazing person, and huge tzaddikas, but by us, it was pashut, there was no, it's not like I'm trying to be a great woman or anything, it's just the way she lived her life, and what we thought was pashut, we realized when we went to the real world that these things are not so pashut. But, like I said, for her, there was no other way. We're talking about a woman that came from a family that had a very close bond, and obviously she had amazing parents to be mechanech her, and unfortunately we weren't able to be with them most of our lives. But I know her mother passed away when she was young. we could probably count on our hands how many times she, like, in order not to put the burden on other people, we could probably count on our hands how many times she cried about her mother, even though she had such a close bond. She grew up, and then with her father, also an amazing person, and her 3 sisters. And then she was much nefesh to come to America, leaving behind her family that she was so close to and she would never see again. From there, they went to Austria. We went to Austria for about 9 months till we finally made it to America. All this time taking care of us in a foreign country, new languages, new jobs, new things to do to take care of her family, take care of her in-laws, her sick father-in-law. And we came to America, Baruch Hashem, and we spent 10 years living in an apartment, and she took care of us. She would wash our clothes by hand, nurturing us. And somehow, like, even in this country, in a new place, which is not easy, it's easier to just follow the flow and go the easy route, but she somehow knew how to naturally be mechanech us, and she was the light for our ruchnius. Almost every teacher, like, I thought it was maybe only me, but even, not because I'm better, no, but I thought my siblings told me that every teacher as well, by them, would say that they knew that there was something special about them, and they could tell how much they put into us. And obviously, like Rabbi Ben Susan said as well, these character traits are not something that are exclusive to my mother. This was a team effort. And L'havdil ben Chaim Chaim, she should be a Meilitz Yesha for my father, and he should have a Refuah Shlema B'Kurb. Elazar Chai ben Puria. But obviously, even with a team effort, each person has to be in their full game. So, continuing with my mother, their marriage was, there's no words to describe. We already heard, there's no words to describe. Plain and simple, like Rabbi Jacobs heard from me, it was Shana Rishana for close to 30 years. Like, doesn't make sense. It's like, but that's just the people they were. That's the person she was. And going back to the chinuch part and the fact how selfless she was, 3 weeks ago in the hospital, when these doctors are like asking her, like, you had the option for chemo treatment, like, why you turn it down? And she said, because they told me if I start chemo treatment, I won't be able to work with the kids anymore. So that's just how invested she was. She always wanted to be, maybe it's not the easiest job, it's not the maybe most respectful job, but she always wanted to be the first grade that learns the Aleph Beis, so she could be the first one to give them that exposure. And she gave that all up this past year. Everyone knows was not an easy year for any of us, but for sure for her. She stayed by my father's side day and night, every facility he was in. And then when he came home, even though it was physically more draining, she wanted him home. She said, what do you mean? How did they do this in the olden days? They didn't have these places. He has to come home, be taken care of like, mensch by people that care. And when she was in these facilities, we would try to get her to go home. She didn't want us to put burden on us. She didn't want Shabbosim. She would stay in some of these places that we couldn't have more than one person stay, or it just didn't make sense. She would say, go home. I want you to be able to go to shul. I want you to have a good Shabbos. So, to sum it all up, she was selfless. She needed nothing in this world, and yeah, after all she was through, she was the cheeriest, really the cutest, well-rounded, positive person you could, want to be around. Like, I don't know, I feel like people didn't really know her for, maybe the past year was more people got to know her, but she was really undercover and low-key. She had tremendous emunah, tremendous, and like I thought there was no question that she would make it through just from that. But we live in a generation that tzaddikim are really the ones that are, covering for us. And we're missing so much ourselves. So special people are the ones that Hashem takes to help us all and to give us the Yad D'Shmaya. So I don't want to leave anything out, but I don't know what more to say. I just think we should try to grab as much of her Kedusha and try to make Kabbalahs to be more positive, improve our marriage, do whatever we can, to be better people in her zchus. I guess I want to ask Mechila. I know it doesn't have to be in front of everyone, but whatever. For me, my siblings, it was hard for them to speak, and I'm not worried about her anymore. She's Baruch Hashem in a good place, obviously. And I don't regret her not seeing my kids. But I regret my kids not seeing her. Hashem should give all of us nechama in this long goes, and I'm thankful for being able to take care of her the past 3 weeks and help with whatever I could. But Hashem should give us nechama, and we should only have simchas from here on, and see Mashiach from here. B'yameinu b'olam avos l'netzach mocha Adonai Elohim es dima me'al kol pan v'charbas ama yasir me'al kol aretz ki Adonai daber. Thank you for coming.
Everyone, please rise for the Kel Maleh.
Kel Maleh Rachamim Shechein V'Amramim Mamtzei Menucha Nechana Al Kanfei Ashchina B'Malois Kedoshim U'Taharim Ki Zohar Rakia Mazirim Es Nishmas Shulamis Ben Bas Reb Moshe Shalcha Li Olama Ba'avur Shenoi Dvim Tzedakah Ba'ad Azkaras Nishmasa Began Eden Tehei Menuchasa Lochein Ba'al Rachamim Yasireh B'Seisei Kanafav Li'olamim V'yitzror B'tzror Chaim Es Nishmasa Adonai Unachalasa V'sanuach al mishkava b'shalayim and Amen.